Welcome to the Steelers Realm Podcast. And now, here are the boys of Steelers Realm.
Good evening, Steelers Nation, and yes, for the second time in Steelers Realm history, I am the man in charge. I am Freight Train for all of you that are new to the show, which I hope we have some new listeners coming in. JT has the night off, so I have been given the reins to our podcast, and I'm going to bring in the rest of the panel. I'm going to start with Nolan coming in. How's it going, buddy?
Good. How about you?
Hey, I'm the man in charge, buddy. I gotta make JT proud tonight. You know what I mean? So
yeah, no pressure. Don't stir it up.
Yeah, we've already ran into some technical difficulties. I'm hoping this thing doesn't just go totally off the rails.
Yeah, it might. I'm ready for training camp.
So me too. Let's go to Kitch. What's up, Kitch?
How's it going, man?
Hey, another day. Training camp starting. How are you feeling?
Oh, pretty good. Glad football's right around the corner.
Right. It's finally in the air. And now the man that probably should be in charge, but he's not for some odd reason. But we did save the best for last. And it's everybody's favorite, the famous TA.
Oh, Freight Train. I don't even know what to say, buddy. I don't know what to say. I just, you know what? I'm glad that you have been promoted. How's that?
I feel privileged. I feel honored.
You feel honored and privileged?
I feel honored. I feel like I'm really going somewhere. You know what I mean?
Like I tell you what, you're heading straight to the top. Even Jeremiah, look at that. Freight Train in charge. That should be large and in charge.
That's right. As the great Joe Dirt would say, large and in charge and looking for chickies.
For chickies.
But TA, I don't know what's going on.
Chickies, because you walk by chickies, they get pregnant.
Yeah, I definitely don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Is TA like a blank screen on everybody else's?
The screen looks black to me, but
I noticed that too, man. I don't know what happened.
Do you got your cam on?
My cam is on.
I don't know. What? Here, I'm gonna remove you and bring you back in.
Bring me back. Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that clears up.
Because here's what ended up happening. You did something, and then when you did something, it kind of
something happened.
Something happened.
He's already blaming you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Some things, never change. I'll
tell you what.
But anyways, we're gonna try to chug along here. We just completely lost TA. So
I think he backed out and went back in like you did before the show.
Yeah. So we're just gonna chug along here. When TA gets back, which it sounds like he is, we'll let him back in. There you are.
There he is.
I'm pretty sure it was you, buddy.
You're just playing games with me right now.
I wouldn't do that to you. You're in charge.
Yeah.
I don't want to get fired. It's Christmas, man. It's Christmas
the weird thing
today.
is, I have a little sense of nervousness. I don't want to let JT down. I feel like I'm talking normal in the mic, but then at the same time, I feel like I'm yelling with excitement. So I hope it's a good listen. But we're going to preview the show here. We're going to go over some training camp news as training camp has opened. Finally, it feels like it took forever and a day to finally get here. We got some other Steelers news, some camp news, and then to round the show out, we will do our weekly Steel City Star Spotlight. That's something we're going to try to emphasize here moving forward.
Dude, do you know how important that is? I am excited that the Steel City Star is back.
Man. I'm too. This organization has some rich history, and that really brings it out.
Oh, absolutely. And working with Steel City Star, he went underground for a while, but I'm glad he's resurfaced and he's brought back some of these old clips because for all of you who do not know, he is a mystery man. Kind of like Wilson off of Tool Time. You can only see from here up. All right. You all laughing, but I'm telling you, it's truth. You can only see from here up. But this guy worked for CBS and he has a vault, a library, a collection of vintage Steelers stuff that is unparalleled. And he has it at his fingertips.
Wow.
And we are privileged to be shared with it. So, Steel City Star, man, I'm glad you're back in the saddle. I'm glad we're teamed back up. And I'm looking forward to what our spotlight is tonight. Sorry there, Freight Train. I just wanted to add a little excitement to the show, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, because
hey, this is a team effort.
Yeah, you ain't got it rolling yet.
Right.
Got to get it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
you
this is like,
you are like the Russell Wilson to my Justin Fields. You know,
that means I'm just on the sidelines again.
You do have a hurt calf, so you know I had to come in and take a little bit of the spotlight off you, let you heal up.
Hey, I'm just looking forward to locker room when you rub it out for me.
Thanks, that's what we got trainers for. So, anyways, getting away from the rubs and the tugs, we are going to open up our segment of some Steelers news here. Mr. Hijacker, you want to take it off for us?
Oh, yes. So first, we're going to be talking about Najee Harris. He made some comments about the Steelers declining his fifth-year option. It looks like he was, pretty disappointed about the Steelers' decision. I think he's gonna try to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
That was it, Nolan? Nothing more?
Well,
you just think he's going to prove them wrong?
Well,
I mean, look, you're not only hijacked, but you're like just quick to the point. Like, boom, it's over, done with. Next segment, move on, boys.
Hey, there's no beating around the bush, okay?
Kitch is still like fucking dumbfounded. Kitch, what do you think about this?
I mean, I'm not even really sure what to think of the whole Najee Harris saga at this point because, I mean, especially with the statement coming out, where the Steelers apparently told Najee that they didn't know where the offense was headed. Just it's not really a good vote of confidence going into training camp for the offense as a whole, let alone just Najee.
Well, yeah, that's going to lead me into my take is how do you hire a guy but not know where you're heading with your offense? Isn't that the purpose of doing interviews before you hire somebody is they formulate some sort of plan that they have if they get the job with your football team? Like, why are we let's hire a guy, but let's figure everything out on the fly. No, that's not really how it should work. You should have already formulated a plan. Like Arthur Smith should have already basically went in with a resume. And through my experience and the players that you have on your roster, this is how I'd like to attack moving forward if I get the job. Not, okay, I'm just here to tell you about my experiences. I hope you hire me, and then we'll figure it out if you give me the keys to the car. That's not a good formula. So that's a little bit concerning.
Look, let's just add to this. I mean, the bottom line is the guy is known for A, going to the tight ends, and B, running the ball. And we're talking about a running back right here. So if you're not sure where the offense is heading, maybe he's not going to run the ball anymore. Maybe it's just going to be strictly tight end based. I mean, I don't know.
Is he all of a sudden just going to be in a pass-happy offense?
You know what? I bet you there's still remnants of the Canadian football playbook somewhere around. And that's what the problem is. They don't know if they're a foreigner yet. Maybe they're waiting for Ireland to come over.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. When it comes to Arthur Smith, especially with this statement coming out, I feel it kind of reinforces my thought of he's one of those O coordinators that just kind of is still riding off the success of one good season from a legend on his team, being the season with Derrick Henry that he had. So it's like Adam Gase, just it happens here instead.
Well, let's hope that that's not the case. I mean, let's hope that there is a plan, and let's just hope that Najee, the reason we're not signing you is because, and we're going to get into this, is there's a possibility we may add somebody, we may restructure somebody, we have money left over, but most importantly, we're going to make you run for another 1,000 yards before we give you anything.
Well, and that's the concerning part, and that almost essentially puts the nail in the coffin to my thought of Najee's not going to be back after this year. I mean, you want to talk about the guy that was consistent in a bad offense. You knew what you were going to get with Najee. You knew you were going to get $1,000. He was weekend
$1,000?
a
He's
thousand
handing out.
1,000 yards. I'm sorry,
Oh,
but
I thought he was handing out $1,000, man. I'm like, damn, I gotta
yeah,
get down
got
there.
but 1,000.
Heinz
Yeah, I
Field.
got to get down
Yeah,
there. Where's the money at, Naj?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was the one that essentially helped resurrect last season by changing his attitude and his running style as the season progressed. It seemed like once we hit that halfway point and we really started taking off when Najee started running harder, started running with more attitude, getting back to how he was in his rookie season. But Najee's been one of the most consistent guys on this offense since he's been here. But you're not going to give him a contract. You're not going to pick up his option because you don't know how you can involve him in your offense. To me, that doesn't make sense because he should be one of the key players in this offense.
And look, you stated it right there. You know, midway through the season, he started carrying this team. And let's face it, he has been a consummate pro. He does not give back any lip. He has been out there in the community. He has been nothing but giving to this franchise. Omar even states, hey, man, we like Najee around here and we want him to be a Steeler for a long time. So what's the problem? What's the holdup? What more do you need to see from this guy, from a character, from a production, from a teammate, from a player, a brother, a cousin, a sister, a lover? I mean, I don't know what it is.
Well, and this is a little bit surprising because wasn't it just the start of last season where they were heralding Najee Harris as the next cornerstone key essentially what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily captain, but the biggest leader of the football team. Like Mike Tomlin was basically pressuring him into saying, you need to be our biggest leader. But now did he just not do a good enough job to warrant picking up his option? To me, this whole situation just doesn't make sense to me. It seems like some people might have went back on their word. Maybe Najee wasn't who they thought he was, even though he is what we as fans thought we were getting when they drafted him. He's been exactly what I thought he was going to be. But there's something that's a little bit fishy about this whole situation to me.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up in that same interview where, he ended up mentioning the Steelers telling him that, they don't know where the offense is heading and whatnot. I saw a quote from him today that is pretty much just as you would expect. At the end of the day, it's a business. That's why he says that he's not signed yet for anything moving forward. Obviously, I think that's just kind of like a very generic placeholder kind of response because he can't say what's actually going on. But
I don't know. But
so even going off of that, right? So here we are with the business side. I find it then, you've got a young guy who you have a chance to lock up. And I get it. The NFL has devalued the running back position. However, the Steelers have always been a ground and pound type of mentality when it comes to football. And then in the same breath, Omar comes out and says, there may be a new deal around the corner for Cam Heyward. Cam has plenty left in the tank at the age of 36. He's going to be in Pittsburgh for years to come. Now, we want to talk about confusion. I mean, I know from your point of view there, Freight Train, you were thinking, hey, he's washed up and done. Get him out of here after this year. Send him off to the pasture with Troy Polamalu. Now we're looking at letting a stud running back, maybe not a stud, but definitely a grade A minus type running back leave for a veteran old timer. What are we to expect of that?
See, and this is where the Steelers organization, in my opinion, their loyalty can be very good, and sometimes it can be very kind of bad. I feel like the sense of loyalty to Cam uh, is kind of there in the middle, because I think when Cam's healthy, he can definitely help this team, but I haven't seen it recently. I've seen it to where he's played it down and then he's huffing and puffing going to the sidelines. And then he's had some injury issues. He's starting to get slower. Now, we need to figure out what direction we're trying to go with this football team. Okay. Are we just going to be a veteran laden football team, or are we going to try to start getting younger? Because this team's gotten older. We used to say this is a young football team. Yeah, it's not anymore. It's not when you actually look at it. We have an aging defensive line. TJ's not a spring chicken really anymore either. I mean, who knows? We got probably maybe 4 more good years with TJ left. We got Minkah Fitzpatrick back there. He's not getting any younger. This offense, it's not really as young as what everybody portrays it to be. I mean, you got Pat Freiermuth, who's now in his 4th season. Those are veterans now. So are we going to lock up the guys that have been consistent, or are we going to just continue to be, bending over backwards for, I don't really want to call Cameron a has-been, but we're not getting the same level of play that we used to before. And is it actually going to hurt us? I don't mind bringing Cam back on some sort of incentive-laced deal where he gets a little bit more than veterans minimum, but he has to reach a snap count. If he reaches a certain amount of sacks, a certain amount of tackles, if he makes a Pro Bowl, then we can add money. I cannot tie too much money up into a 36-year-old defensive lineman when I have other needs, especially in his own positional group.
Hey, I just got to ask, Freight Train, have you been going to night school and taking like agent lessons or something here in the background? I mean, did that just not sound like your local sports agent coming at you hard and strong?
So you're saying my take was good? I'll take that.
Yeah, you hit a lot of the
Yeah,
good
I'd call that a
points.
compliment.
Kitch, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, with Cam, I really agree with that take as a whole. I mean, he is kind of starting to, push to play more and more years, not wanting to hang him up. Troy did the same thing. We might basically have to force him into retirement, like the Steelers had to do for Troy, basically.
Yeah, Cam, there's some issues going on with his injuries. We don't know if he'll be fully healthy next year. We'll have to see. He wasn't quite healthy last year. And, how much money is he going to want? Probably more than the Steelers are going to want to give to a guy who's, 35 now? He's getting up there. And, he is a great mentor, but how much is that worth? Is it worth paying him if it means you're going to lose out on guys like who are younger, who are more, in your future plans than Cam would be?
Well, TA, I'm just going to say this, and then I'll let you go with your take because I know you're rearing to go to fire back at me. But here's how I look at it. Do I want to pay a guy big money to get 8 to 10 sacks, but he's only available for 9-10 games? Or am I looking for a kid that might give me 6 sacks, but he's healthy throughout the season and is available? Okay. The biggest thing with football, the biggest ability is availability. And I'm not convinced that I'm going to get the availability with Cam Heyward, with the Ogunjobis of the world, not to drag everybody else into this argument. But his age for a defensive lineman, that's getting kind of risky.
All right. So, first of all, you guys got pea brains. I just want you to know that. All right.
You just said I was a sports agent.
I didn't say that you was a good one. I could have said you were a used car salesman as well, too.
I think you're being sarcastic.
Wow.
My point is that you guys are probably looking at age. So let's really go over Cam's injury history, okay? And anybody can correct me if I'm wrong. So I believe it was like in 2011, Cam underwent Tommy John surgery, and we lost him. Then from there, 5 solid years up until 2016. He had a high ankle sprain, he had a hamstring, and ultimately he ended up missing that season with a chest pectoral tear, grade 3, that he had to have surgery for. From 2016 to 2023, he did A-OK until he suffered the groin tear. And don't forget, he had a concussion. So as far as health goes, he's been a lot healthier than TJ Watt has been. Let's just be honest, guys. If I put that up against TJ Watt,
You're comparing. Okay.
no, I'm looking at longevity.
I'm looking at the whole body of work, though, TA.
I am a body of work.
Well, what's the snap count? Let's look at the snap counts because I'm sure they're significantly different.
Of 13 years, and you're looking at that? No, man, that's pretty good. Now, the other thing I have to love about Cam is he is a leader. Do I agree at 36, he's probably lost a step? Absolutely, he's lost a step. There's no doubt about it. Do I believe there's some left in the tank and that Cam could probably get away for 2 more years to 38? I might have to agree with that. All right. But only as a leader and a spot personality check. So that's where it's going to come into play as far as Cam's concerned on whether or not his contract is going to be Steeler friendly, and does he want to share the ticker tape parade with his brother in a 7th Super Bowl? Because that's really what's eluding Cam in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing that take. I'm not arguing that Cam doesn't deserve to be here and doesn't deserve to go out a Super Bowl champion. But I'm looking at it as a whole and as looking towards the future of our football team. Like, if I give Cam this extension, how many years are we looking for? Is he looking for a 3-year deal? Well, a lot could change with a 36-year-old in 3 years. Okay. And his snap counts have dropped significantly down. It's not about how long he's been on the injured list, TA. It's a matter of how many times and how often is he getting into the football game to make a difference. That's what I'm really looking at, because when I was watching last year, there was a lot of huffing and puffing on the sidelines and not as much on the defensive line.
Hey, look, I'm not gonna deny that whatsoever. I just think at the end of the day, the team does need a little bit of leadership. I agree that we need to get a little younger on the defensive line, but I don't think we're in dire straits on the defensive line.
Well, I think it's going to depend if Benton can take a next step, and will Ogunjobi stay where he's at? Those are 2 guys who could decide whether or not our D-line is still good, even with Cam, starting to be a bit on the decline. Well, he's still good, but, he's declining a little.
Yep, and you can go ahead and throw DeMarvin Leal and the rest of them. But it's a shame that
they got to step up. The young kids got to step up this year. That's all there is to it. Benton, Leal, they all got it. They got to step up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It's a shame that JT is not here, because I love being on this show when the name Brandon Aiyuk comes up.
Yes, we're gonna bring it up again.
I mean, why not? Why not?
Because that's where the money's going, right? That's all the money. That's why Najee can't get his contract extended.
Right. Najee can't get it.
God, I hope not.
It has
They're
all
playing
to
hardball
do
with Cam.
Yep. It has all to do with Aiyuk.
Yep. So
yeah, I hope not. I really hope not.
Well, Kitch, you're in luck, because according to the con man, Omar Khan, he states nothing is going on with the wide receiver trade talks. Now, how much do you think you could believe him in saying that? How much is he allowed to say? There is a such thing as tampering, right, in the NFL. So he can't really come out and say, yeah, we're trading for Brandon Aiyuk. We're trading for DK Metcalf. Yeah, we're going to sign Randy Moss off the ESPN desk. It's all about he said, she said. You know what I mean? So I'm ready to put it to
I fully agree with that. I'm ready to just kill it again. This is the third time I think I've specifically talked about killing this on the podcast here.
Keeps coming back.
Yeah,
Well,
it just keeps coming back. As I said before, the dude's a cancer. Tomlin's having some, Antonio Brown flashbacks. He does not want that again. I think a DK trade's more likely, and I don't think that's happening either.
Listen, I wouldn't necessarily call Aiyuk a cancer. He's
He's
kind of
getting
just
there.
looking.
Wait a
He's
second,
he's
look what
looking at his team.
Wait a second. Look what he's doing to San Francisco. He's on a Super Bowl winning team, and he is dragging them through the mud right now. You don't
Okay.
call that a cancer?
Okay, but no,
Suck it
TA,
up.
listen. How would you feel? How would you feel at your workplace? Every other positional group around you is getting contract extensions, but not you.
Hey,
You're not getting a contract
look,
extension.
We just talked about.
Wall-
Still don't go full
Whoa.
scorched earth on them. You make them look bad to other organizations.
Hey, look, we just talked about it with
Like-
Najee, and he's not being a cancer. He is being a pro. He showed up for work. He's going to work. He's a little disappointed, but you know what? That's A-okay. That's a professional.
Yeah, and he's not like publicly trashing his team.
Exactly.
We're sharing practice footage of other teams.
Exactly what Aiyuk
Hey,
is doing.
You know what?
Now that is just absolute. That's Antonio Brown right there.
Hey,
And I
we
don't
dealt
Yeah,
with him.
getting there. I don't think he's quite that bad yet, but he's getting there.
Hey, give
Yeah.
him one hit across the middle, he'll be that bad.
Oh yeah, he'll be
people in the
too.
pool, beating up moving drivers. Is that Brandon Aiyuk? No, I am. In all seriousness, I'm ready to drop it because I basically came to the conclusion we're rolling with what we have. Because if we already can't figure out what type of offense we're gonna have and not re-sign our running back, who the hell thinks we're gonna trade for a wide receiver who would be brand new to this offense? That would make no sense at all. And I just can't see the Steelers trading any assets away at this point.
Now we're talking intelligence.
That's the first time you've ever called me intelligent.
I didn't say.
I think he's being sarcastic here.
Mark your calendar,
Now
Freight
we're
Train.
talking intelligence.
Okay,
There you go.
we're talking intelligence. You're not
Talking
saying
intelligence.
Freight Train. You are intelligent.
Not yet, but the show's so young yet. We're only halfway through.
Oh, great. Well, that seems to be all of the news that we have here. Unless
right,
DA, you can come up with something else.
Yeah, so let's just say something. Everything that we talked about right now was basically revolving money. All right, whether we're renewing contracts, saving money for bringing in a free agent, whatever the scenario may be, we know we have a little bit of surplus. And as a Steelers fan, we're not used to know what to do with a surplus because usually if we got money in our pocket, it's burning a hole in it and we're ready to spend it. So let's just a quick round table. If we were to spend it, what would you spend it on? Hijack.
I would probably spend it on if we could address the corner position because Cam Sutton's going to miss half the year, and Jackson has some health concerns that he's a good player when he's on the field, but when he's hurt, he's not making an impact. So if we had some corner depth, that'd be a good addition to the team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kitch.
I mean, I would be looking to maybe even get some more depth on the D line. I mean, with having, Cam getting older, probably chance that he's going to get hurt again. Although I do agree, most of his career, he has been very, he's been healthy, he's been consistent, but again, he's getting older. Not only that, he might only be good as like a 2-down man now. So I would maybe try to get some more depth in there in case some of these other guys don't work out.
Freight Train.
First of all, I just want to say, hey, Chris, hey, Jeremiah, hey, John. Want to send a shout out to you guys. Thanks for joining us. TA, I would probably use our surplus in cash on an undersized middle linebacker who excels at playing special teams.
That's
we
specific.
already did that. We talked about him last week. His name's Tyler Maktovich.
Okay, you did say that. Okay, I was just making sure. I wasn't here last week, so I got to play a little bit of catch up with you guys.
I wasn't
okay?
here either, but at least I took the time out to listen to the show for my fellow classmates that participate with me on a
Well, I
weekly
did.
basis. No,
I
you didn't.
did, but I turned
just-
it back on late after the commercial break, so I
Uh-huh.
missed that part.
Uh-huh.
But no, honestly, I saved the cash. I saved the cash until about the middle of the season, barring injuries to any key positions, to bring somebody in that might be available. You know what I mean? You got to have that emergency cash put back to get somebody. Or
Well, I mean,
have some-
actually, now that you bring that up, there's always surprise cuts at the end of every training camp that we can use in our favor. Look at the Joe Hayden side.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe
That's
we
a valid point.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hopefully, a good player gets cut.
Hopefully, a good receiver gets cut.
Good.
It
Somebody
won't happen, but
What are the chances that Metcalf or Aiyuk get cut at the end of the training camp?
You better start praying.
Yeah.
well, I mean, if Aiyuk keeps his antics up, they might have no choice.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, TA, Mr. Moneybags, where are you spending the rest of our cash?
I'm not spending it nowhere. I'm looking at seeing in all reality what it's going to take to re-sign Najee and what it's going to take to re-sign Pat. Because at the end of the day, those are two guys that have proven to be good Steelers, and I want them back on my team for years to come. I'm looking at 3-year, maybe 4-year deals that are favorable in my favor because this is the NFL, but they do deserve to get paid. So that's what I'm looking at, and I'm keeping that little $5 million in the side pocket for exactly what Kit just said. Is there a Joe Hayden around the corner on the backside that we can pick up to make this team even better? And I'm not saying necessarily the cornerback position, as Hijacker had once alluded to, because I think we're more than fine in the cornerback position, even with Sutton taking 8 weeks off. I just think that it's there just to allow us to be flexible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and you got to think, guys, we don't have a QB with a long-term deal either. Kind of like what John was alluding to on that comment. We got to save some money back to re-sign one of these guys, whether it be Russell Wilson, whether it be Justin Fields, or to play the free agency market again next season or draft a quarterback. Like, we're going to have to pay one eventually.
Baker Mayfield, come on over to Pittsburgh.
Hey, I could get down with that.
Rock bottom.
Baker's underrated.
Yeah.
I can say
Chris,
that now that he's not a Brown.
He is underrated, but I tell you what, he brought attitude to that team, and that team has lost that attitude since he's left.
Oh, it's lost its identity
again. And he brought him identity. It's just crazy. All right. So what's going on with camp, man? Camp's open. Are we open for business, Freight Train?
We're ready we're rocking and rolling. We're hitting the ground running here. Camp has opened up. Today was day 1, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So there's some I got some big news that we'll cover that happened at training camp that everybody knows I've been waiting for. But first of all, let's talk about the arrivals. I mean, we got, there wasn't really that big a flashy arrival this year that we're used to seeing.
No fire trucks, helicopters,
police
escorts, FBI.
No, it was kind of clean cut and dry.
Pittsburgh Dad, was he on the scene?
I think he was on the scene.
All right, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. So, TA, you would have been glad to see that Landon Roberts was wearing coveralls.
That bestowed my heart. When I seen him show up in a pair of black overalls and everybody made a fuss of it, I'm like, you know what? I was almost going to send in a picture of me in my wedding attire or my funeral attire, just so the fans see that it is all business when you show up in a pair of black overalls. And for all you who don't know, TA is in nothing but overalls when he ain't doing his thing.
He is. I can intrude to that. That just means you're ready to get after work, doesn't it, TA? That means you're ready to get down and to get down.
Are you ready to get down to get down? That's exactly right. And that's what this team needs. It needs to get down because I'm done talking. 13 years isn't long enough, or is it 16 years? Can't even remember. I don't even want to talk about it. I think it's 13 years. It's time to get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And Landon Roberts, he earned wearing those overalls with his play last year, because I mean he ultimately turned into our best middle linebacker there in the second part of the season. So I'm excited to see what he does this year to expand on that.
With Patrick McQueen. Oh,
Can't forget about Peyton Wilson.
Oh, hey, even throwing in Peyton, even when Cole Holcomb comes back halfway through the season.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping Austin realizes that he's got 4 inside linebackers. What are you going to do with them? Because they can run, they can block, they can tackle, they can take up the middle. They can do a lot of different things. This is what the Steelers have been searching for a while.
Yeah. Yep. I think I saw a video earlier today. It was Peyton Wilson.
Yeah.
Where he got to the quarterback. And I mean, it was in the blink of an app. I mean,
yeah, it looked like he shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
He's
so
moving.
I'd say his knees are healthy. So, but there was 3 names that appeared on the camp non-practice list. We got Cole Holcomb, which we kind of all knew that one was coming. Dean Lowry, he's still recovering from his pectoral tear. And then Cardero Patterson has a hammy problem. Tia, are you concerned with this at all? Because, we can add Russell Wilson to that list of non-participants with a hurt calf.
We can. Cordell Patterson, I'm definitely concerned with. Like, I wasn't necessarily on board with this pickup, and I understood that it came because we picked up a new OC. I got it. The Dean Lowry thing, though, I was kind of thinking, hey, look, man, we did our homework. We had the trainers, the medical staff, the witch doctor from Louisiana up, checking him out, making sure he was ready to go. For him not to start, I'm hoping that this is just okay, he's kind of ready, but we're just going to work him back into, as Tomlin likes to say, football shape. So is he on the sidelines doing his thing to get into football shape? And the pectoral really isn't the issue. But the Cordell thing and the hammy, granted, he did it while he was training and practicing, but we talk about old. Cordell is old, guys, as far as what he does in the NFL.
Yeah, for running back, he's ancient.
Yes.
And especially
him already coming up with a hammy, I fully agree. That is concerning, especially at his age. You're probably going to see Calvin Austin doing those returns instead of him. I don't know if he'll make the roster.
They gave him a 2-year contract, so I would assume that he's going to make the roster. You're talking about Patterson, right?
I could see him being a cut.
Yeah, there's no guarantees on that. I can see him being a dud as well too, and being a last cancellation. AKA cut.
I'm just a little bit concerned. This is day 1, and these are veterans that we signed to essentially mentor some of these young kids. And day 1, they're not even available.
Shit, wait a second. No, they are available. Fuck, you put it that way. Freight training. Hey, all is good, man, because all they got to do is sit on the sideline with a whistle.
I mean, Russ was there. He didn't practice really, but he was there.
Man, their presence is all that matters.
Anyways.
Hey, if that's what we need them for, we'll have them through camp. And oh, sorry, kids, you're on your own now.
So, moving on here, Tomlin has made some camp changes. He's really starting to put his foot down on some things here. Camp starts earlier. It starts at 10:30 a.m. now. So,
can you believe Tomlin's going to make these guys get up early? The nerve of that man.
Especially 10:30.
Right.
I mean, goodness gracious.
They're just getting out of
Ridiculous.
bed at this time. Maybe
Yeah.
even warming up the PlayStation or the Xbox. 10.
Doesn't he know that NCAA football 25 just came out? Like, these guys have to be able to have time to play it and then sleep in.
I'm appalled.
Oh no, there's no sleeping in playing that game. I can assure you that.
Yeah, I know. I fell for the trap.
Yeah.
So, but it's not just for the players, TA. It's to allow more time at night for coaches meetings so they can figure out what type of offense we're going to have.
Right, because
Or maybe it's to allow more time for them to play college football 25.
Could be. Could be.
There's so many what ifs and maybes and could have been and should have been. I'm so confused on where we're going right now, guys.
Yeah.
I think they're just as confused. That's
Well,
bad since they're in the driver's seat.
I do like this though. I do like the allowance of the coaches meetings because let's be honest, last year we had a coaching debacle. Okay, I don't want to see that again. I don't want to see insecurities going into a season where you don't make the tough decisions and then you're trying to figure stuff out on the fly to save your season. Like, this is their chance to regroup with what they have and to figure out and formulate a plan to get this team ultimately where we want to see it.
And let's face it, guys, to do something over and over and over again the same way is insanity. So to even at least attempt to make a subtle change, I think is great to see Tomlin doing this. I only wish that he would have done this, let's say, 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of just fall into the same habits. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a routine. And I mean, even he kind of alluded to it that they did not want to fall into a routine. So you basically admitted you did fall into a routine. Even with as subtle as saying the new conditioning coach has added a few new techniques, to get the troops up and going. So what does that mean? That your partner comes over now and he helps you stretch out your hammy? Does that mean we've done some yoga moves? I mean, I'm glad we got a new conditioning coach because I think I've said it for years that I'm concerned about the conditioning of this team. Yeah. So I like,
especially on lower extremities. It seems to be the going thing in the NFL now.
Exactly right. But most importantly, I am just grateful that Tomlin is looking after his health, and instead of wearing a black T-shirt on a hot July day, he wore white. And it's not even Labor Day, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, Tomlin.
I like it. I'm sure he looks great in white too.
He does look good. It brings out the color in his cheeks.
Mm-hmm. It helps accentuate the aviator glasses that he wears.
It gives him that Tom Cruise look, actually.
Oh yeah, I thought Maverick as soon as I saw it.
Yeah. I was just looking for Goose, but let me tell you, Arthur Smith is no Goose.
No.
Maybe a duck, but definitely no Goose.
Yeah, no Goose there.
No Goose there.
Oh, shoot. Well, and that brings me to biggest camp news.
Wait a second. The players
your favorite talking point
to apply hair products. John, you know something we don't know? Hair products for 1 hour. That must be something new in the NFL. That must be that slick back look.
Well, dude, you got to think all the new hairstyles have been coming out. Remember James Conner's little soul patch only reversed into his neck?
Von Miller had one of those too.
Yeah, dude, you got to get something ready to go.
Right? Because you just never know when that reporter is going to snap that photo.
Yeah, I mean, we got guys with mullets now. TA, you know about the mullet phase. You can't just hop out of bed with a mullet.
No,
you
got to.
I don't know. Some of it was never a phase. I mean, even look back to 2011. Jared Allen from the Vikings, number 69. He had a mullet.
Yeah. I mean, TA knows a thing or two about some mullets. Let me tell you, folks.
Oh yeah, it takes.
Are we gonna have a picture drop next week?
You know what? We just might have to.
Mhm.
All right.
Dude, you want to talk about a stud, dude? Mullet, jean jacket, the whole 9 yards. He wore like his jean jacket over his jean overalls.
Dude, I still have
Oh,
my
wow.
jacket.
Do you really?
Absolutely, I do. I love that thing.
Yeah. Hey, Freight Train, your guy. He got his snaps
Yes.
today.
Yes. Justin Fields took first team reps today, folks, in training camp.
He looked
And
good.
there wasn't a happier person in the United States not named Freight Train.
Well, maybe
So-
Justin Fields.
So I'm telling you, guys, he threw a 70-yard bomb to Van Jefferson, and Jefferson didn't even break stride.
Oh, that's a dot.
Yep.
And I'm just, TA knows how I feel. Everybody that's involved with this show knows exactly how I feel about Justin Fields and how I feel about the quarterback position moving forward. I'm not going to waste any more time because we're almost at 50 minutes, reiterating how I feel about this. But sometimes opportunity comes when you're least expecting it. And all you need is that door cracked open yay big to kick it open. So I
It's gonna
think
be a fun
some
competition.
things that he's done probably today has opened some eyes and hopefully has opened some more possibilities for his involvement. If not, bumped him up the podium to have an actual quarterback competition moving forward.
Yeah, I'd at least like to see them give him the option to compete.
Absolutely.
Was that in the background? What did you say, hijack? I didn't mean to hijack you, hijack.
Well, yeah, it's fun. I said I'd like to see Fields at least compete. Now, I think Russ will win, but at least give him a
Yeah.
shot.
He wants it to be a fair election or fair competition. I'm sorry. I'm going down TA's road.
You got to
I'm
watch
just
it.
offending everybody tonight. Just like JT is never going to
And-
entrust us ever again.
Oh, no, you ain't running the show again after this.
Yeah. Sorry, folks.
Oh,
All right,
That's
kids,
great.
I'm going to give you a chance before I speak.
Me or
Kitch, anything to add to that?
I mean, to the competition?
He blew his mind.
Yeah,
You blew his mind.
Just to him starting the competition.
he just started thinking
where
about
we're at.
Fields and some stuff.
I mean, I really think that it kind of does open the door for a true competition. I don't think it's actually going to be, just with how Pittsburgh's always been and their plans to, we've already seen a sample size within Chicago, and he wasn't really good at picking up pressure or anything like that. Fantastic on the move, fantastic on the run, but he's just raw and needs more work. And just as they plan, he's going to sit behind Russ unless Russ gets hurt.
So, and you're right. He is going to sit behind Russ unless he gets hurt. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I am hoping that since we have 3 quarterback coaches on this team, that they're sitting with that young man and they are helping him learn how to read defenses. Matter of fact, Art, if you're listening, I know Dick is on a book tour right now, but it might not be a bad idea to bring him in as a consultant and give him at least 2 hours every day while you're at St. Vincent with Dick LeBeau going over defenses, because that's where that kid struggles, is how to read them. Because I'm pretty sure,
especially picking up Blitz package.
absolutely, and I'm pretty sure if we can teach him how to read defenses, the accuracy side of things will fall into place, because I think the accuracy issues of the inconsistency come into play, not knowing the defense and getting scared and or nervous. The confidence factor is what he misses. And what helped him in Ohio State was great wide receivers. What's not going to help him here at Pittsburgh right now is great wide receivers.
Unless you're looking for one that's 5'11.
Right. And
5'11 and
kudos
runs.
to Jefferson, because Jefferson is my number 1 dark horse coming out of this, as far as taking the number 2 spot if Austin is unable to earn it. But But at the end of the day,
TA, here's a good question for you.
Hmm.
Speaking of Van Jefferson, I was kind of thinking about this on my drive up here to Cleveland today, and after seeing that play, can you kind of see Van Jefferson possibly playing a role much like Juju Smith-Schuster did when Antonio Brown was on this roster?
absolutely. I think that you're going to see Van Jefferson play the role that they were hoping Robinson would play. Because you got to remember, Van Jefferson came from the same school that Robinson did, the LA Rams.
Mhm.
So I look for him to kind of come out of that slot. The guy can catch the ball. He has been surrounded by talent that's just a tick better than him. But in Pittsburgh right now, he is the talent.
Yeah, he has the tick. Besides George Pickens, obviously, but he's not going to get supplanted.
Correct. There is nobody better than him. So this is his opportunity to lose.
Mhm.
I could see Roman Wilson competing for that slot job.
Yeah.
We got to bring him back first.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Yeah.
what? Bring who back?
Roman Wilson.
Roman Wilson, TA.
Yeah, you're
Our
Roman. You're
pick.
confusing the Wilsons on me.
Our third round pick.
I thought you said
that,
Robinson.
him in the slot.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
he'd be pretty good there.
Wilson's. We got to see what he's going to do yet. We got to see how he's going to mature into.
Usually takes rookie receivers a little while to work their way into the lineup in Pittsburgh. If anything, I could see Roman being a bigger piece next year than this year. He might get some meaningful reps later in the season or when guys get hurt. But right out of the gate, he won't start.
Mhm.
Because he's going to be kind of in the same scenario right now that Mr. Heyward, not Cam, but little bro, is in.
They don't know how to use him.
They don't know. They don't
What
know
is
how
it?
to use
Fullback
it.
or what?
Come on. Arthur Smith's going to use him like he did Jonnu Smith last year. If all goes bad, then we'll know because Connor Heyward will be our leading receiver.
Mhm.
I'll tell you what, he has the tools to do that, and I like it. I like Connor. I just think they need to figure that out. But hey, we got to keep this rolling because we got one more thing to talk about.
Yeah, you ramblers. So we got Smash, Bash, and Crash, and we're not talking about the Mario Brothers game. It's what Craig Wolfley calls the offensive line trio of rookies. Do you guys think any of the rookie trio cracked the starting lineup? So you got Fontenot, you got the center,
Frazier.
Frazier, and
That would be Zach, just so
Yes.
you know. Okay.
It's all right. Forget it.
Troy Fontenot, Zach Frazier, and come on, I've given you time to think of the third one. Mick.
You can do it.
I'm
Yeah.
done.
He's given up.
Mick Foley. I don't. I don't know. His name escapes me.
McFoley is our starting left tackle.
How about
He was a hell of a wrestler. I can believe it.
How about Lowry's Seasoning by McCormick?
Oh, okay.
What's his first
Then
name?
why didn't you say seasoning? Why would you go Mick?
Because it's McCormick.
I could have said Mickey Mouse for all you know.
Because it's Mason McCormick.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Well,
why
hopefully
you
he
got
puts
the
a little
Mick.
seasoning touch on. What is he, a right tackle? I'm guessing.
I don't know at this point
Maybe.
in time. He's definitely not salty in your book.
Yeah, he's an offensive lineman. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Anyways, TA, you start us off. What's your thoughts on this?
You know what? 1, 2, 3. I like the fact that you mentioned earlier we're old, we're not getting young. These three guys could potentially be the future. If anything, at least 2 out of the 3. So it is definitely going to be interesting. And I agree with you, John. Frazier has the best chance to start by the time camp ends.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of where I'm going. I think Zach Frazier is going to be the starter at center to start the season. I don't think Fontenot will start. I think they'll still go with the bum that we always go with every single year, and they're going to keep Jones at right tackle.
We got 6 more games of Dan Moore, it looks like. Or what?
Right. But I think once we hit that back stretch of the season and Dan Moore kind of gets more exposed, once you play more defenses that have better blitz packages, I think that's when you're going to start seeing Fontenot kind of put in there. I know it's a recipe for disaster because he's a rookie. You want to usually start him off kind of slow and not kind of essentially throw him to the wolves, but it's the NFL, and Dan Moore is going to get somebody hurt one of these days.
Yeah, actually, interesting point you bring that up, because more or less how I can see it going is I do agree Frazier has the best chance to start out of the gate, but I would not be surprised if at some point this season that quarterback that gets hurt because Dan Moore can't block that well is Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it could be if he doesn't block quite well. But Frazier has
Russ doesn't have the escape.
But the thing about Dan Moore is it seems he plays better when he plays higher competition. Like he usually plays pretty well against Myles Garrett. But
bad news for Dan Moore. The first half of our schedule is pretty easy, so
he's going to get obliterated.
Yeah, and Russ is going to get hurt early.
It just doesn't make any sense. How do you play good against I'm going to say this in quotations because he didn't deserve it, the defensive player of the year you're going to shut down every single time you play him?
Let me ask a question. Do you think that we need help on the offensive line? We don't know where to put proper players. And the only reason I say that is because right now we're trying to force Fontenot on the right side, and he's not used to playing the right side. He could play guard on the left side, or he could play left tackle. Right tackle is not really his position.
Yeah, why are they trying to fix something that's not broken?
Well,
Broderick Jones played extremely well over there.
And that's what I'm saying. Do we need an offensive line coach who understands the players he has and where to put them at their strongest?
Yeah. Because that's when the running game took off, is when they put Broderick Jones in at right tackle. Now, all of a sudden, Siamalu on the other side was playing better because the right side was playing better. So you want to take Broderick and move him to the other side and then put a rookie in his slot that's never played that position. That's not his natural position. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it might be difficult switching spots, but I think Fontenot can do it. He seems pretty versatile.
I've always went with the philosophy if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, like it's one thing whether he can do it, but what would be best for the team? Like I believe even probably like month and a half ago, we were talking about this. I was confused as to why Broderick Jones was on the left and not Troy.
And again, I like the whole thing about a Swiss Army knife, but there's just you just can't put round pegs in square holes.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you put him. He's gonna get exposed. They're gonna attack him. It doesn't matter. This is the new NFL. There's not really down linemen anymore. They stand up. They move around. Like he's gonna eventually face somebody. You can't just hide him.
Well, it's not only that, but here's, ever since Kevin Dotson went to LA, I loved Kevin Dotson. I said at the beginning, he was a road grader. That was what he needed. I loved the nastiness he brought to the offensive line, and we just had him in the wrong position.
Mm-hmm.
Again, do we need a new offensive line coach to be able to distinguish where we have to go? Because since Munch left, we have been struggling to fill that position.
Yeah.
Maybe for another day. Let's get into the Steel City Star
Spotlight. Tia, I'm gonna let you take this off.
I'm not. You know what? I'm gonna let the hijacker do this. The young.
Whoa! You think he can handle it?
You sure? You sure I even know what it is?
I don't even
I've
think
been a
he
lot-
can handle it, but I'm going to enjoy watching
Oh
it.
man, we really did
Oh,
go off the
wow.
rails.
You're on.
Yeah, you just throwing them straight in the fire.
Oh,
Absolutely.
come on. All right, fine. We're going to be going the Steel City Star Spotlight tonight. So 40 years ago today, Terry Bradshaw retired. The man, the legend, Terry Bradshaw. And to quote, my gut feeling is that it's over. I can't see myself coming back, dash Terry Bradshaw, the legend.
The original
quote.
TB12.
So
Yep.
so let me ask you something there, hijacker. What do you know about Terry?
He was a damn good quarterback.
How do you know he was a damn good quarterback? Just
Because
he
you
won
told me
4
from.
Super Bowls? I mean, what do you know about him? Did you do any homework? Do you know anything about Terry? Because he's way before your time.
I've seen some highlights of him slinging the rock. He's pretty good. I will say that.
But
He
how
led us to 4 Super Bowls, so he's got to be good.
Well, if he's got to be good, how's come he's never mentioned in the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL? Hell,
I don't know.
Well,
in some
that's-
cases, he's not even mentioned in the top 20.
What the?
Well, that
it was-
top is all stats driven, and it doesn't take into account for the era that Terry played in. He was playing in the most brutal era to be a quarterback. Like, you take shots that players who get fined, ejected, suspended for today,
Turkey Jones.
and like the guy, yeah, like
I'm not gonna argue that with you, but I gotta throw this out there. Even Kenny Stabler and that guy from down in Texas, Mr. Starball, gets more praise than Terry Bradshaw.
well, they also were a lot known for
Frank
their
Tarkington.
Franz Tarkenton, Ken Stabler, all of them were known, like those were offensive teams. Pittsburgh, Staubach, they were all known for their offenses. Those were very well known offensive teams. I mean, the only thing that was notable about the Vikings defensively was their D line, the Purple People Eaters. So, like, you end up going back through this, and you end up throwing out, Pittsburgh has always been run heavy. Terry didn't really so much care about his stats. It was all about the win. And although he's not on that list, what did we get out of it? We got 4 Super Bowls. The Vikings lost 4 Super Bowls.
Yep, that's what matters. I'd like to also add that Bradshaw, unfortunately, he had that elbow injury in '82, but then he came back 14 games, re-injured it, I guess. But it was a rough way to go out.
Yeah,
Well,
and also in that 6-year stretch, what teams did he have to go through? Because he had to take down the Raiders, on the AFC side. He played the Vikings and the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Played the Cowboys twice.
Yeah. Some tough
It's all
teams.
about the W.
the thing about Terry is he gets overshadowed by that steel curtain defense a lot.
That's
That whole
just it.
offense does. John Stallworth should be considered one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, and he's not. Same with Lynn Swann. Same with Franco Harris should be considered one of the best running backs of all time. He's not really probably even cracking a top 10.
Wait a second,
So-
do you know where Franco finished when he retired? What
First.
rank he was?
First in rushing yards, was he not?
No. Was
He was in the top 5.
Was he above or below Jim Brown?
He was below.
Below?
We're just
I feel like
guessing.
we're wrong.
We're guessing.
You are.
We're just guessing. TA, we're not concrete in our answer because we said below. Didn't sound confident.
Below, maybe.
But anyways, to finish my point, it didn't always start off great with Terry Bradshaw. People don't realize that. A lot of people were calling Terry a bust when he first got here. It did not start off cupcakes and rainbows. It took time. Terry actually wanted Chuck Noll to trade him out of Pittsburgh. There's a lot. There's a deep, dark history with Terry and Chuck that I don't think completely came out. So,
Nor I think it ever will. I mean, here's one thing that a lot of people don't realize. We had no offensive coordinator during the Chuck Noll days and Terry Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw was our offensive coordinator. Now, that's hard for a lot of people to wrap their head around. The other thing is about this is when in 82, when he basically ended up having Tommy John surgery, we didn't have the medical staff that we have today. And Terry probably rushed it back and ended up tweaking it again before the start of the 83 season. 14 games later, he come back for the Jets game. He threw a couple touchdowns. He sparked the team. We got in the playoffs, but that was it. He knew he was done at that present time and moment. Now, the killer of that whole scenario is in 83. This is where it gets salty for old Steeler fans. We were begging for the team to take a guy by the name of Dan Marino out of Pitt, and we passed up on him,
Damn it.
believing that Terry was coming back and was going to be okay after surgery. And that put us into a spiral that we could not get out of in the 80s. And it wasn't until Chuck finally stepped down and the chin came in that we turned that around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you guys heard the story of Terry Bradshaw's alias when he was getting his surgery? You know what his alias was?
Nope.
Tom Brady.
What the?
That's a true story,
Seriously.
actually.
Yes. And now, mind you, Terry said this in the 80s. Tom Brady wasn't even alive yet. Just a little freight train fun fact for the evening.
Yeah, I learned something new today.
Another fun
Well-
fact for you.
Well, I mean, the
When
rest
was
of the
the
show's
last
been a
time-
train. The rest of the show's been a train wreck, so I might as well come out with some dad jokes or some jokes at the end to try to.
Oh, you got to break out all the train puns possible. But
Well,
But
I mean, this isn't entirely off the rails, but another fun fact. Who was the last first overall pick, and only first overall pick, to my knowledge anyway, Pittsburgh's ever had? Terry Bradshaw.
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The blonde bomber.
Yep. And he, TA, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Terry back up Mr. Robinson, the Duck Dynasty guy?
He did.
in college?
Yeah.
The Duck Dynasty guy walked out of practice.
Oh, I almost forgot about that.
He
Yeah.
walked out of practice to go duck hunting and never came back.
I think they both made good decisions with their careers.
Yeah, I'd say it worked out pretty good for both of them.
Absolutely, it did.
Yeah.
Everything worked out.
Old
All right,
Phil
well-
Robinson.
Anybody else got anything to add that's worthy
Oh.
before we?
It
We
says
shut
it was
this
years
thing
before
down?
Terry came back to Pittsburgh. Years before he returned to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, because there was a lot of animosity between, more so probably on Terry than anything else. Terry's got a lot of demons, and it took him a while. Matter of fact, if anybody has never seen the Terry Bradshaw play, please go to Branson, Missouri, get yourself a ticket and go watch it. It is very good. It is about his life story, and he does a very good job of it, poking fun at it, and tells you basically everything you need to know about Terry. I actually got to watch it in Pittsburgh about the same time that Mr. Knoll died, and unfortunately, Terry did not go to his funeral, even
Mhm.
though he was in town.
Mhm. There's also an
Crazy.
HBO special on that as well.
Okay, I'll watch tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But other than that, guys, Merry Christmas.
Hey, you know what? It wasn't pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but we made it through with only one political reference, and a lot of Steelers news.
I don't know what political reference you're talking
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no idea what that other reference
I don't know. Some about an election. I don't know. I'm hard of hearing. I don't know. But, but hey, it was a pleasure teaming up with you guys once again for this week. Thank you for letting me host. I'll be interested to see how JT critiques me and the rest of Steelers Realm Podcast Nation. They'll probably never want me to do this again. So, but thanks for everybody enjoying us that are still here. We do have one person still watching. We scared everybody else off, but it's been a pleasure. Good night, guys.
Adios, amigos.
Good night.
That's it.
Ooh, I gotta hit that.
Freight train. That's usually.
Check back next week into the Steelers Realm.